Another historic day, or so my superiors kept insisting. I wasn't convinced. Specimen acquisition successful, senior researcher Vrax, 9 announced, his voice swollen with triumph, like he'd just secured a seat on the council instead of dragging in another unconscious creature. His poison sacs pulsed beneath his throat in self-satisfaction. The human subject appears intact and viable. Director Kazult leaned closer to the containment platform, mandibles clicking in eager rhythm. At last! A living one. The council will be pleased. After 4 failures, the authority finally delivers results. I kept my 3 eyes fixed on the control panel, pretending to be busy, pretending I wasn't embarrassed for them. My name is Tessar, junior assistant, lowest rank in the lab. If anyone sneezes near a console, I'm the one who gets blamed for a system's failure. And now I was about to witness the mistake that would haunt our entire authority. Prepare the containment cell, Vrax, 9 snapped. And try not to break anything this time. Yes, senior researcher, I muttered, biting down the sarcasm that might demote me to waste management again. The vessel Cosmic Inquiry had stalked the edges of human territory for nearly a cycle. The Council was obsessed with these creatures, humans, who had somehow launched themselves from primitive machines to interstellar craft in less than 2 millennia. Most species took tens of thousands of years. Humans did it in what felt like a blink. To the authority, that made them an anomaly worth dissecting. The specimen lay on the platform, breathing shallowly, still under sedative. Pale beige skin, bilateral symmetry, 4 limbs. By all appearances, fragile. No natural armor, no claws, no venom sacs, not even fangs worth mentioning. Everything about its physiology screamed prey. And yet, 3 empires had already failed to intimidate them into submission. Transfer to primary containment. Initiate in 3, 2, 1. I activated the gravity fields. The human lifted from the platform, floated smoothly into the reinforced chamber, and settled onto the padded surface. The walls shimmered with active energy fields, the structure lined with neo-titanium alloy strong enough to hold predators 10 times more dangerous than this specimen was supposed to be. Containment secure, I reported. Commence revival sequence, Kazult ordered, his mandibles quivering in anticipation. Vrax, 9 turned to me. Administer counteragent. I tapped the console. A mist hissed into the chamber, designed to flush the sedative from the human's bloodstream. I logged every shift in vitals as the body stirred. Breathing accelerated. Fingers twitched. Muscles flexed. Exceptional response time, Vrax, 9 muttered, recording frantically. Faster than predicted. The eyelids flicked, rolled, then snapped open. Blue. Not just blue, piercing, calculated. Those eyes didn't drift in confusion, didn't search blindly. They locked onto us instantly, sharp and deliberate. My chest plates tightened. This wasn't how revival usually looked. Most specimens woke like drowning animals, gasping, disoriented, half-conscious. This one looked ready. Senior researcher, I began carefully. Does the specimen seem unusually aware? Vrax, 9 waved a dismissive appendage. Nonsense. Stress response of a captured animal. Nothing more. But then the human moved, slowly, smoothly, sitting upright with no trace of sedation fog. He stretched once, relaxed, and smiled. Not a predator's snarl, not nervous chatter. A smile. Flat teeth showing, yet somehow more threatening than fangs. And then he spoke. Hello there. The sound froze us. The words weren't garbled mimicry. They weren't filtered through a translator. Perfect galactic standard. Director Kazult leaned back in shock. It speaks? Impossible. We haven't detected an active implant, I added quickly. My 3 hands trembled against the console. Standard shouldn't be possible. The human shrugged, still smiling. We haven't mastered your language. But I've spent enough time around your kind to pick up the basics. You're Askatari, aren't you? Scientific authority? Kazult corrected instinctively. Galactic Scientific Authority. The human chuckled, low and amused. The sound was worse than any snarl I'd ever heard. Because it wasn't nervous. It wasn't fearful. It was confident. Vrax 9 puffed himself up. Specimen will remain silent unless questioned directly. The human laughed outright. That's not how this works, friend. He glanced around the chamber, his eyes noting every angle, every detail. Then he looked back at us. I count 3 of you. 1 of me. Bad odds for you. I swallowed hard, my circulatory fluids rushing cold. I wanted to deny it, wanted to insist he was bluffing. But the certainty in his voice left no room for comfort. For the first time since I joined the authority, I felt the unsettling possibility that the specimen wasn't the one trapped here. The chamber was silent except for the hum of the containment field. The human smile lingered as he leaned back, as though he had woken in his own quarters instead of a prison built for apex predators. My name is Commander Jack Vega, he said, voice calm, deliberate. Earth Defense Force. Special Operations Division. Director Kazult's mandibles twitched. Special, military? Yes. Vega's gaze swept the room again. Which means you've made a serious mistake. Vrax 9 scoffed, poison sacs swelling with irritation. Delusion. The sedative is interfering with cognition. Note symptoms: disorientation, fabricated memories, grandiose self-identification. He recorded rapidly, refusing to meet those unervingly steady blue eyes. But I couldn't dismiss the way Vega's muscles moved, measured, purposeful, not the clumsy spasms of a confused specimen. My instincts screamed this was no ordinary captive. You think I'm hallucinating? Vega asked, voice lowering. Try again. I let you take me. Kazult jerked back. Absurd. Our security teams risked much to capture you. That's what you believe. Vega tilted his head, as though amused by our ignorance. In truth, you were following our trail. We wanted you to find me. Saves us time. The words chilled me more than any weapon. We had thought ourselves hunters, stalking the edges of human space. But if Vega was telling the truth, then we had been lured. You expect us to believe this nonsense? Vrax 9 hissed. Vega didn't bother answering. He closed his eyes, breathing steady, almost meditative. His posture shifted from casual to focused, every line of his body coiled like a spring. Kazult whispered, what is it doing? Focusing, Vega replied without opening his eyes. Mapping this ship, counting your exits, identifying weak points. His eyes snapped open and locked onto mine. And I've already found them. My chest plates rattled. Senior researcher. Silence, assistant. Vrax 9 snapped, but his tone had lost its usual confidence. Vega stood, stretching with a casual grace that felt more dangerous than any display of strength. Let's save time. You want to poke and prod, take samples, maybe carve me open. But I'm not here for that. I'm here for the others. Kazult's mandibles clicked nervously. Others? The civilians you abducted, Vega said coldly. The teacher, the freight pilot, the nurse, the student. Ring a bell. The director's faceplate stiffened. That information was classified, buried in restricted logs. How could he possibly know? You can't, Kazult began. A distant boom cut him off. The deck vibrated underfoot, subtle but unmistakable. My stomach dropped. Vega smiled. That would be my extraction team. No, Kazult whispered. Impossible. Our location is classified. Communications blacked out. You're stealth tech. Vega said with a shrug. We cracked it 2 years ago. You've been leaving a trail of footprints in our backyard ever since. We just waited for you to make your move. Another concussion rolled through the vessel, closer this time. Lights flickered, alarms whining to life. Security breach detected. Docking Bay 3 compromised, the ship's system intoned. All personnel to stations. Panic spread through the lab. Vrax 9 deflated visibly, his arrogance draining into disbelief. Kazult stumbled toward the emergency console. Don't bother, Vega warned. Your guards are already neutralized. Making that call will only get more of them hurt. Kazult froze, torn between instinct and fear. Vega's tone softened slightly as he turned his gaze on me again. You, assistant. Tessar, isn't it? I flinched. How do you know my name? You said it earlier, when you logged containment, Vega replied. I remember things like that. He took a step closer, his eyes steady on mine. Listen carefully. When this escalates, and it will, get down and stay down. Understand? My circulatory fluids ran cold. He wasn't threatening me. He was warning me. Vrax 9 barked, desperate to regain control. Specimen, return to the center of the chamber. That is an order. Vega's laugh was sharp, cutting through the alarms. You still don't get it. I'm not your specimen. I'm the reason your lab is about to become a battlefield. The ship rocked violently as another explosion ripped through the hull. Red lights flared, sirens howled, and the voice of the automated system bellowed over us. Security forces overwhelmed. Intruders advancing. All research staff evacuate immediately. And through the chaos, Vega stood calm, steady, blue eyes locked on us with terrifying certainty. You caught the wrong human, he said softly. The alarms wailed in a deafening rhythm, red strobes painting the lab in violent flashes. Sirens echoed through the vessel, layered with metallic groans as shockwaves rolled along the hull. Somewhere deep in the ship, weapons fire rattled like distant thunder. Inside the containment chamber, Commander Vega stood with unnerving calm. He pressed one hand against the energy field that separated him from us. The barrier shimmered brightly, sensors confirming full strength. It was designed to repel plasma bolts, kinetic projectiles, even disintegration waves. Nothing organic should have crossed it. And yet, the surface rippled beneath his palm like liquid. Kazult stumbled back, mandibles clacking in disbelief. Impossible. The field is stable. Vrax 9 shook his head furiously, stabbing commands into his console. All readings nominal. Power at maximum output. He shouldn't. Vega pushed harder, his hand sliding through the barrier as if dipping into water. Energy ripples danced along his arm, sparking briefly before collapsing against some invisible counterforce. Impossible, Vrax 9 whispered again. Not impossible, Vega corrected. His voice was calm, almost conversational. Just better prepared. Nanotech countermeasures, injected before deployment. They map and disrupt your field on a molecular level. He stepped forward, the rest of his body phasing through as if the barrier had never existed. Once clear, the field solidified again, shimmering in defiance of reality. I froze. My instincts screamed to run, but my legs locked in place. The human wasn't supposed to be free. He wasn't supposed to know our technology. And yet here he stood, outside the cage, alive, smiling faintly. Containment breach. Kazult shouted, his voice cracking. He slammed the emergency override. The cell walls retracted steel barriers, reinforced with neo-titanium, sliding into place. Locks clanged. Vega barely glanced at them. He walked forward, brushing his fingers across the metal, and the surface sparked. Locks disengaged one by one with crisp snaps. The barrier slid open at his touch. Vrax 9 stumbled backward, poison sacs swelling, eyes wild. Stay back, animal. Vega tilted his head, amused. Animal? Funny word, coming from you. He plucked the stunner pistol from my holster before I could even react. I hadn't seen him move. One heartbeat he was across the room, the next his hand rested on the weapon now dangling loosely at his side. I swallowed hard. How did you? Training, he said simply. Another explosion rocked the vessel, harder than the last. The deck lurched, equipment tumbling across the floor. Kazult collapsed against his console, scrambling for balance. "Director," I whispered, voice trembling, "maybe we should surrender." "Never." Kazult snapped, though the tremor in his mandibles betrayed his fear. "The Authority will not bow to primitive barbarians." Vega's blue eyes narrowed, suddenly sharp. "Primitive? You've been in space 15,000 years, and yet you rely on tech you barely understand. We've been here less than 200, and already your strongest walls mean nothing." He turned toward the sealed lab door. Sparks from the ceiling rained down as the ship groaned under pressure. The emergency locks engaged, sealing us inside. "You can't open it," Kazult spat desperately. "It requires security clearance." Vega stepped up to the control panel and pressed his palm against it. The same ripple spread, distorting the circuits. Sparks leapt. The door groaned and slid open. "Clearance enough for you?" Vega asked dryly. Beyond the door, the corridor pulsed red with warning lights. Smoke drifted through the air. Distant shouts echoed as Authority security clashed with Vega's team. "Stay close," he told me suddenly, his voice sharp but not unkind. I blinked in shock. "Why me?" "Because you're the only one here who hesitated," Vega said, eyes fixed on the hallway. "The only one who thought twice." Vrax 9's voice cracked with fury. "He's manipulating you. Don't listen." Vega didn't even look back. "Not manipulating. Choosing. Difference is, he knows it." His eyes flicked to me again. "You want to survive this? Do exactly as I say." Another blast rocked the vessel, far closer. Somewhere above us, the sound of collapsing bulkheads thundered. Vega grinned, rolling his shoulders like a soldier preparing for the next round. "Looks like my team is moving fast," he said. "This ship's about to turn into something very different from a lab." His words settled in my mind with dreadful clarity. Our pride, our fortress of science, our untouchable containment, the cosmic inquiry, wasn't a laboratory anymore. It was becoming a war zone. The corridor outside the lab was unrecognizable. Red strobes pulsed against smoke-filled walls, alarms howled, and the deck trembled with every distant blast. What had once been sterile and controlled now felt like the belly of a dying beast. Commander Vega strode forward without hesitation, stunner in hand, posture loose but deadly. He moved like a predator that already owned the ground he walked on. I followed instinctively, though my legs trembled. Kazult and Vrax 9 stumbled behind, sputtering protests that no one heard over the chaos. A squad of Authority guards rounded the corner ahead, rifles raised. Their armor gleamed under the emergency lights, weapons locked on Vega. "Freeze," one barked. "Drop your weapon and return to containment." Vega didn't stop. His voice was calm, almost bored. "Bad timing." In less than a heartbeat he surged forward, sidestepping the first shot with impossible speed. His hand snapped the rifle from the nearest guard, twisted it, and slammed the butt into the soldier's chest. A second guard fired, but Vega rolled low, knocking him off balance with a sweep of the leg. By the time I blinked, all 4 guards were on the floor, disarmed, groaning, alive but incapacitated. I gaped. Authority security trained for years. They were supposed to be elite. Vega had dismantled them in seconds. Kazult stammered, This defies probability." "Probability's not on your side," Vega cut in, tossing the captured rifle aside as if it were trash. "Training is." The ship groaned violently, bulkheads shuddering as another detonation rattled the decks. Smoke rolled in from the far end of the corridor. Overhead, the speakers barked emergency orders. Intruders advancing. Security forces collapsing. Docking bays compromised. Evacuation recommended. Vrax 9 hissed in panic. "They're destroying the ship." Vega shook his head. "Wrong again. If we wanted this ship destroyed, you'd already be floating in vacuum. My team is here for the prisoners, and the data." His words struck harder than the explosions. They weren't raiders. They were rescuers. We pushed deeper into the vessel. The once pristine corridors were littered with debris, shattered consoles, dangling power cables, unconscious guards. Every step reinforced the same truth: the Cosmic Inquiry, our proudest research ship, was falling apart around us. We rounded another corner and stopped. Ahead, a row of sealed doors marked the medical bay. Guards had tried to barricade it, but the blockade was already breached. Smoke and scorch marks covered the walls. 2 humans in dark combat armor stood outside, rifles cradled with casual discipline. They looked up as Vega approached, saluting sharply. "Commander," one said, visor lifting just enough to reveal a determined face. Captain Parker secured the bridge. "Engineering's locked down. We've located the prisoners inside." Relief flickered across Vega's expression. "Status? Sedated but alive. We're prepping for extraction." I froze at the word prisoners. A fresh wave of shame hit me as the realization settled: our experiments, our specimens, were people to them. Individuals with names, lives, families. Kazult tried to recover authority. "You can't simply take them. They are part of an authorized research initiative." The armored soldier's eyes hardened. "Research? You kidnapped civilians and carved them up like animals." Vega silenced the argument with a look. "Enough. Get them ready. We're leaving in 10. The soldiers nodded and disappeared into the medbay. Vrax 9 hissed under his breath, "War criminals. They'll brand us as war criminals." Vega turned on him, eyes cold. "Because that's what you are. Kidnapping innocents isn't science. It's butchery. And you're lucky we value lives more than revenge." Another explosion thundered above us, sending dust and sparks cascading down. The ship's automated voice stammered through static. "Critical systems compromised. Containment failures in multiple sectors." Kazult's mandibles clacked nervously. We must evacuate. The Council will not stand for this invasion." Vega leaned close, his voice steady but sharp. "This isn't an invasion. It's a rescue operation. The difference will decide whether your Council negotiates, or watches more ships fall like this one." He turned back toward the medbay, shoulders squared, movements fluid. The stunner in his hand never wavered. To him, the chaos wasn't a disaster. It was control. And as I stumbled after him, heart pounding, one truth burned clear in my mind. In less than an hour, a single human had turned our most advanced research vessel into a war zone. The command chamber was chaos when we reached it. Consoles flickered with static, power conduits sparked, and the once immaculate floor was littered with debris from failed defense systems. The Cosmic Inquiry, our pride, now felt like a wounded beast bleeding from every seam. Director Kazult clung to a railing, mandibles clicking furiously. His authority, once absolute, looked fragile in the red glow of emergency lights. Vrax 9 trailed behind him, poison sacs shriveled, posture crumbling. Both looked less like leaders and more like cornered prey. Vega entered without hesitation, weapon low but ready. His presence filled the room, calm and commanding, the exact opposite of the panic surrounding him. Kazult tried to recover dignity. "Commander Vega," he said with forced steadiness, "you stand in violation of interstellar law. This is an act of war." Vega's reply was quiet but edged with steel. "War? No. This is a response to your crimes. You abducted civilians from sovereign territory. You cut them open under the guise of research. That's not law. That's barbarism." Vrax 9's voice cracked. "Our council authorized the program. Protocol permits observation and..." "Observation?" Vega snapped, blue eyes narrowing. "That what you call it? Sedating a nurse and carving into her chest? Hooking a student to electrodes until his heart nearly failed? Observation?" The room froze. Even Kazult faltered, mandibles twitching. "Enough," Kazult growled finally, though the strength behind his voice was gone. "We are a scientific authority. Our purpose is knowledge. Knowledge without ethics is just cruelty dressed up in equations, Vega shot back. He took a step closer, forcing Kazult to retreat until his back hit the console. You've hidden behind procedures so long you've forgotten what life actually means. Before Kazult could answer, the chamber doors slid open. 2 armored humans entered, rifles at ease but eyes sharp. Between them walked a tall figure in a black uniform, short silver hair, expression carved from stone. Captain Morgan Parker. She scanned the chamber with one look, her tone brisk. Bridge secured. Engineering under control. Prisoners stable. Extraction in 12 minutes. Vega inclined his head slightly. Good. Director Kazult and his team are here. Her gaze locked on the 2 senior aliens. The people responsible for this mess. Perfect. She stepped closer, voice cold but measured. Director, you and your researcher will come with us. Your evidence. Kazult's mandibles flared. Evidence? We are scholars. Representatives of the council itself. You cannot treat us like. Like what? Parker cut in. Like you treated our civilians? You gave them numbers instead of names. To you they weren't people, just data points. Kazult tried to protest, but she raised a hand. Save it. The council will hear the recordings, read your logs, see the scars on our people. You won't be able to hide behind procedure anymore. Vrax, 9 sputtered, venom sacs twitching. You can't dictate law to us. Vega leaned close, voice soft but lethal. Law doesn't protect monsters. It judges them. The ship shuddered violently, a fresh explosion tearing through somewhere above. Sparks cascaded from the ceiling. A voice crackled through Parker's comm. Charges placed in data core. Transfer almost complete. Understood, Parker replied. Her eyes flicked to me for a brief moment, appraising. This one? Vega nodded. Junior assistant. He hesitated. Conscience intact. Might be useful. Her expression didn't change, but she gave a curt nod. Then he stays. The rest come in cuffs. Kazult's mandibles rattled in disbelief. You would humiliate us like criminals. You've already humiliated yourselves, Parker said flatly. We're just carrying the evidence. Vega gestured toward the door, calm as ever. Move. Neither Kazult nor Vrax, 9 argued this time. They shuffled forward, stripped of command, dignity, and certainty. I followed in silence, pulse hammering. The hum of emergency systems filled the air, every sound reminding me that the authorities' arrogance had collapsed in less than an hour. As we stepped into the corridor, Vega glanced at me. His eyes weren't cruel, just piercing. See, Tessar. Power isn't about cages or titles. It's about choice. You still have one. Remember that. Another blast shook the vessel, dust raining from the ceiling. Parker barked the next order with calm precision. Move fast. 10 minutes until extraction. Let's end this. And with that, the greatest research vessel in Authority history marched toward surrender, led not by its scientists but by the very specimen they thought they had captured. The march to extraction felt unreal. The Cosmic Inquiry, our most advanced research vessel, had become a prison for its own crew. Kazult and Vrax, 9 walked ahead in restraints, their authority stripped away, their arrogance shattered. I trailed close, the weight of every step pressing against me. Humans in sleek black armor guided us through corridors once pristine, now scarred by smoke, sparks, and collapsed bulkheads. Everywhere I looked, signs of our failure glared back. Security forces unconscious, systems overridden, labs gutted of their secrets. And through it all, the human soldiers moved with methodical precision, controlled, efficient, unflinching. We reached the docking bay. A shuttle waited, its hull dark and angular, designed for function rather than appearance. Inside, rescued civilians rested under medical care. I caught glimpses of them, pale, weak, but breathing. The nurse's arm wrapped in clean bandages, the student murmuring faintly under sedation. They weren't data points anymore. They were people. Captain Parker stood at the ramp, arms folded, her expression steel. Load them. Priority on prisoners and civilians. Her voice carried like a blade, measured, undeniable. Vega pushed Kazult and Vrax, 9 forward. These two are evidence, he said. Their logs, their recordings, everything they did. The council will hear it all. Kazult tried one last protest. You can't treat us as criminals. The council. Parker cut him off. The council will decide after reviewing the scars you left on innocent lives. Her eyes narrowed. You're lucky they survived. If they hadn't, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Vrax, 9 wilted visibly, venom sacs collapsing as if drained. For the first time since I'd met him, he looked afraid. The shuttle doors hissed open. Humans moved quickly, lifting the sedated civilians aboard, securing supplies, and transferring data cores salvaged from our systems. Everything about them radiated control. They weren't raiders reveling in destruction. They were professionals. And that, somehow, was more terrifying. I lingered at the edge of the bay, torn between fear and something else, curiosity, maybe even respect. Vega noticed. He walked over, his blue eyes steady. You're not like them, he said quietly. You questioned what was happening. I swallowed hard. That didn't stop it. But it matters, Vega replied. Conscience is what separates the ones who follow orders blindly from the ones who change things. He paused, then added, You'll have your chance to speak. Make it count. Before I could answer, Parker's comm crackled. Charges set. 5 minutes to detonation. She nodded sharply. Everyone aboard. Now. We filed into the shuttle. The bay rumbled as blast doors sealed, cutting off the sight of the ship that had once embodied the authorities' pride. Engines roared, pressing me back against my seat. For the first time in my life, I was leaving under the control of another species. Through the viewport, I watched as the cosmic inquiry shrank behind us. A series of muffled flashes bloomed along its hull, charges tearing through data cores, wiping every secret we couldn't carry. What remained was a crippled shell, left intact just enough for its crew to survive until rescue. The shuttle docked with the human transport vessel, a massive craft of sharp angles and armored bulk. Its interior was nothing like our sterile labs. It was alive with movement, filled with soldiers and medics working in seamless rhythm. Not a wasted motion, not a moment of panic. We were escorted to a holding bay. Kazult muttered endlessly about violations, demanding the council's intervention. Vrax, 9 sat slumped, silent, defeated. I stayed quiet, absorbing every detail. Vega joined us, uniform now visible under the harsh lights, insignia gleaming. He sat opposite, calm as ever. You've been spacefaring for 15,000 years, he said, voice even. And you stagnated. We've been here for 200, and we're already catching up. That's the difference, you perfected comfort. We perfected adaptability. Kazult spat, arrogance. Results, Vega corrected. You think strength lies in walls and cages. We know strength lies in the ability to break them. His gaze shifted to me. That's why you'll speak when we face the council. Because you understand what's at stake. I stiffened. Me? I have no authority. You don't need authority, Parker said, entering with a data pad in hand. You have truth. And that weighs more than rank. The ship vibrated slightly as it slipped into jump coordinates. Through the viewport, the stars stretched into streaks of light. Destination, Varick Station, neutral ground, where the council waited. I looked out at the endless stars. Just hours ago, I had believed humans to be specimens. Fragile curiosities. Now, I realized they were something far more dangerous. Not because of their weapons or their speed. But because of their will. Commander Vega's voice echoed in my mind, power is about choice. The cosmic inquiry was gone. The authorities' arrogance was exposed. And I, Tessar, junior assistant, was about to become the unwilling witness to humanity's first step into the galactic stage. I wasn't sure whether to fear them or to follow them.